think a lot of people are confused on, all the content or whatever I posted on there, what it's about, what the whole ordeal is, or whatever. But to sum it up quick, I guess, before my daughter turned 18, my daughter's mother wound up filing a harassment restraining order on me, including my daughter with it, to continually drag it out like another 2 years that I wouldn't be able to contact or have any communication with my daughter. In the restraining order harassment that she filed, after going through it, I had concerns that, like, she brought up things in my medical records, got me thinking, like, well, I mean, how would she know any of this? Like, this is like private stuff. So I knew she worked at Regents Hospital down there in St. Paul. I contacted them. I told them what my whole ordeal was, what was going on, my issue, my concern, and I gave them the name and that, Chrissy Watney. And the woman said, well, let me get back to you. She was going to look into it. She gets back to me and she tells me, yeah, there was a data breach that Chrissy Watney did going to my medical records. She did copy off like over 1,000 pages of my medical records, and that's how she obtained the information, wound up bringing that up and filing in court records. So I asked, to get a letter, and she sent me out a letter stating the 3 separate times that she accessed my medical records. I said, well, can I get a copy of all the stuff she printed off? She wound up printing off, like, I don't know if you guys know what a telephone book is, but we used to get them back in the day, like 2 telephone book size, big thick telephone book sizes, like 1,000 pages front and back. So in reality, it wasn't 1,000, more like 2,000 pages, because it's front and back. If you go to the oldest videos I got on here, I showed a video of, that's what it kind of started all this. So I took the letter and, a copy of, all the stuff that she copied of mine while working at Health Partners, or down there at Regions, brought it to the St. Paul Police Department and said I wanted to press charges. I wanted to press charges on this woman for accessing my medical records, copying them off, and then, wind up using them, filing, that information in court records. And they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I pressed the issue, so you can hear some of my recorded phone calls with the St. Paul Police and so on and so forth about trying to push that issue through. They absolutely did nothing. Nothing at all. Can you believe that someone could actually go and work at Health Partners or down at Regents Hospital, go into your medical records while they were working there, print off over 1,000 pages, 3 separate occasions of doing it, 3 different times, receive a straight letter from them, take that to the police department, and you can't even press charges. They won't do nothing. Did nothing at all. Like I said, so I mean, no one would ever believe any of this, and that's why I documented it, recorded all my calls, so there was no, well, they wouldn't have done that, they wouldn't have done this, they would have never said this, they would have never said that wouldn't have been done, so on and so forth. So I just recorded all my calls. So that's what started. If you look at the oldest videos, it started with that, and then I tried 3 different times going up trying to argue this harassment restraining order she filed on me, and then it turned into finding out who this Jeff Watney is and the background on him, and him being on probation, still on probation, and then turned out, I know he was charged with criminal sexual conduct or something like that. So all I seen was, from the beginning, was a copy of his divorce decree, and in there it said no contact with children, blah blah. So I'm thinking, well, if he can't have contact with his own children, like, what makes it so he can have contact with any other children? I mean, so I wound up calling Dakota County Probation. Terry Olson was his probation officer. I called her and I said, this is all new to me. I didn't know any of this. I was never aware of all this. And lo and behold, this guy's been around my daughter, living with her since 2008, but been around my daughter ever since like 2004. And in 2004 is when he pled guilty for molesting and raping his own daughter, his own 4-year-old daughter. So lo and behold, to me, I never knew about this, never was aware of it, nothing, for all these years. So then when I finally did find out this, called PO, the PO's like, it wasn't a concern of hers for her to notify me or to make me aware of it. Now at this time, my daughter's still a minor, okay? So it blew my mind. Okay, I get it why it ain't a concern of yours, but it fucking sure hell is a concern of mine. So needless to say, she said, well, whatever, yeah, sometimes, we don't have that information to notify you, blah, 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 and, you know, I can't really give you much more info on it. And I'm like, well, give me your supervisor's information, which led into Mark Mell, dealing with Mark Mell, and that's where everything kind of like snowballed from there. So if you go to the very beginning of all my videos, the recordings, it'll be like Terry Olson, Mark Mell, Paula Pletch, Stacy Olson. No, that just was the beginning of it, like opening the door to the child protection worker, which was Paula Pletch, her supervisor, Stacy Olson. Then led over to, since his charges were out of Scott County, led it over to me dealing with Scott County Attorney's Office, Scott County Probation, which was I can't even think of her name. But for Dakota County, it was Paula Pletch and Stacy Devitt. Paula Pletch was the child protection worker that allegedly did this mandate report. Stacy Devitt was her supervisor. So Terry Olson was probation officer. Mark Mell was Terry Olson's supervisor. Mark Mell's supervisor was Jim Scoville. I wish I could remember her name. But anyways, it just all snowballed from there when everyone just said, you can hear all the conversation, like, call this person, call that person, no, you got to contact this person, no, I don't know who you'd contact, from having to deal with the Dakota County Attorney's Office endless amount of times to having it, you know, reported to the Hastings Police. Everything is like, well, you got to report where it happened, the town they were living in. They were living in South St. Paul in 2008 to 2018. So my dealings with South St. Paul Police and so on and so forth. But for people that wonder, I know it's a lot and it's all over the place, but I mean, it just started me documenting it and recording it all. So, you know, no one would ever believe any of it. And I mean, literally, unless I recorded it all, otherwise I wouldn't even believe it. So no avail. I like dealing with it and the run around and all the way around, like everything. I mean, to send out letters to the DOJ, out to Washington, to the governor, the mayor. I mean, the attorney general. I mean, my emails. I mean, you're talking like thousands of emails. You're talking hundreds of letters, hundreds of recorded phone calls from like if you just watch them from the beginning, it's better to understand it that way. How it snowballed into more and more and more, like just misleading and lies and time. Like they think most people would just give up and get deterred from going any further with anything because, but not me. I mean, absolutely not. To think I went through what I went through from the beginning of the court stuff back in like 2004, filing papers so many times just to try and get my 2 hours supervised enforced, which I filed papers so many times, the judge says, you're being vindictive, and if you want to file papers again, you write me a letter and I'll let you know if you get permission or not. I got to significantly tell them what changed, so on and so forth. I mean, well, what changes? You're still not letting me see my daughter. You're not enforcing it. Why would I write you a letter and say, hey, I'm not seeing my daughter, you're not enforcing it, when you weren't enforcing it and you weren't letting me see her? Like, I got nothing funny on my record. Literally, like, the past 4 years is what all this was. Like, endless amount. And if this is someone that straight don't care about their kid or just don't give a shit, I mean, it probably wouldn't even go any further than maybe making a phone call but absolutely 100% am I not going to allow this to go on. Absolutely 100% am I not going to allow them to label me or try to portray me or try to whatever, to make me something that I'm not and let it be all like that. I'm fed up with it. It wound up, after all the phone calls, so on and so forth, then it went into me digging into the legal statutes, the laws behind everything, and the proper procedure on what should have been done. To me, calling like child protection and acting like I'm just calling to question about, inquire about, someone like that around my kid, so on and so forth, so you can hear their respond on their proper procedure and what they're supposed to do. Needless to say, they all admitted their wrongdoing. Yeah, you're supposed to be notified. Yeah, and no one did none. The supervisors wouldn't do none about holding the POs accountable. The child protection worker supervisor did. It was just BS. Run around BS. No one would hold no one accountable. No one was going to do nothing. And it shows they got the power to hold it and control it, that they can just abuse it. And we can choose whether we're going to do something or not. And this is sickening. This shows firsthand. And if you watch it from the beginning all the way through, you can get a better understanding how it snowballed into more. But if not, otherwise I appreciate, people support me and so on and so forth. Thank you.